Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. It is Saturday, and this is Multifamily Unplugged. I hope that you are having a great morning so far. Listen, grab your coffee and buckle up. You're going to want to sit tight for this episode. I am super excited about my guest this morning, and we'll get to him in a minute. But remember, what are you being intentional about? Are you setting your intentions? You know, here we are halfway through the year, through the second quarter of 2023, and where are you at in your goals and your intentions? You know, we probably set goals at the beginning of the year, and are you closer to them? Are you giving up on them? Where are you at? Are you being intentional? So I want to support you in that in however I can. So if you're at a place where maybe you're struggling a little bit, you need a kick in the butt maybe, or you need some help or some guidance, you know, I know today's episode is going to give that to you, but DM me directly and I'll be more than happy to see what I can do to help you. If you're new to the show, welcome. I know that you're going to enjoy today as much as I'm going to enjoy today. And I'm really excited about my guest. I'm going to be joined today by a national best-selling author. His book is How to Create Lifetime Cash Flow Through Multifamily Real Estate or Multifamily Properties. He's the host of Lifetime Cash Flow Podcast. Let me introduce Rod Khleif and bring him in. Rod, good morning. How are you?
Good, Mike. Great to see you. I'm looking forward to having some fun today, brother.
Yeah, I got a little choked up here introducing you. So I'm excited that you're here. I have a great admiration for you and for the work that you do and how you teach people. And your
wow, that's very kind of you. Very kind of you, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to drilling down a little bit here today. So, hey, before we get started, I always like to ask one question of my guests, and I always, I'm writing a book, and the book is the one word. So I'd like to know in one word, what best describes you personally and professionally?
Passionate.
Yeah,
I got that from Tony. I got that from Tony Robbins. He's got a quote that says "Live with passion," and I have that on the wall. I have it on a pillow. I have it. I mean, when you love what you do, work is play, and when you love what you do, you never work another day in your life. And when you love what you do, you're passionate about it. And in the multifamily space, you're required to influence people, investors, sellers, brokers, partners. And if you love what you do and you're passionate, that influence comes effortlessly because people want to be around passionate people.
So have you always been passionate, or is that something that you fell into this multifamily space and just got super passionate about it?
Well, I really think it ties into doing what you love. I absolutely love what I do. I never thought I would. It's funny. I started my podcast 7 years ago, and I used to tell people I never sell you anything. I just want to add value. I want to tell you about my experience, which, maybe you'll give me an opportunity to share in a minute, but, my story. But I wanted to share that story. And of course, now I'm a liar because I have boot camps and books and, and courses and everything else, but I never planned to. You want to make God laugh, you tell him your plans, right? And
right.
And so, but I absolutely love what I do. We're changing lives, and that's not hyperbole, and that's not like me trying to sell something. It's just the truth. And whenever you give, you receive, and we give a lot, and as a byproduct of that, we receive a lot. And so, it's just a blessed existence, frankly.
Yeah. And that's awesome. I love that perspective. And, I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan too. And that's one of those quotes that's always stuck with me as well. But talk about your background. So,
Sure.
How did you get to where you're at? And you've been doing your podcast 7 years. What did you do before this crazy business?
Well, I'm going to go way back, if you don't mind, because I think it'll lend some framework to what we might enjoy talking about afterwards. So I'm an immigrant. I'm a Dutch immigrant. And, in fact, hang on one second. I got my wooden shoes. I got my wooden shoes right here because they're part of a story that I tell. So, wooden shoes and windmills, right? But anyway, I immigrated when I was 6 years old with my brother Albert, my mother's Vancia, and we ended up in Denver, Colorado, and lived there for about 30 years. But when we first got there, really didn't have much. We didn't have money, really struggled financially. I remember eating expired food. My mom was shopped at an expired food store, true story, and drinking powdered milk with our cereal in the morning because it was cheaper than real milk. And trust me, it sounds better than it is. And, wearing clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school till when I was 14, I just got disgusted and lied about my age at Burger King so I could flip burgers and have some money and buy my own clothes. And, I'm sure you've got listeners that may have grown up in a tougher environment than I did. But I always knew I wanted more. And luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids. We always had a house full of kids, and she babysat kids. And with her babysitting money, she was quite an entrepreneur. So without a formal education, she invested in stock market and IPOs successfully. And she also invested in real estate. And her first real estate acquisition was a house right across the street from us. When I was about 14, she paid about 30 grand. And that's 1974. And then when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep, that had gone up in value that much. So I'm like, what? You made 20 grand? You didn't do anything? Screw college. I'm getting into real estate. So I got into real estate, got my real estate license, and still lived at home. And, I was going to be rich doing real estate. Well, my first year real estate, I made about 8 grand. My second year, maybe 10 grand. But my third year, I made over $100,000, which was in 1980 was some pretty decent change. So what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? Well, what happened was I met a guy and I was dating his daughter, and he was the broker that I was working for. I actually had my broker's license. I got it when I was 18 back then, but now they got smart. You need some experience to be a real estate broker. But I was a broker, but I was smart enough to go work for him. But I was dating his daughter, and he taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology, how really 80 to 90% of your success in anything is just that, your mindset and psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the technical stuff we talk about on our podcasts. And you know this, Mike. And then of course I spent 20 years following Tony Robbins around the planet and was on his team for quite a while. And of course he's best in the world at mindset and psychology. And so fast forward to today, I've owned over 2,000 houses that I've rented long-term in Colorado and Tennessee and here in Florida. And in 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. And you might say, wow. And I said, wow. And I got a head so big I could barely fit it through a door. I thought I was a freaking real estate god. And when that happens, God of the universe will give you a nice little smack. Well, that was 2008 and 9. I lost everything in 2000. I lost $50 million conservatively in 2008 and 9. And so what I'm known for talking about on my podcast and at my boot camps and so on is really the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place. But then probably more importantly, the mindset it took to recover from that to the success that I'm blessed to have today. And, and I think, Mike, with the economic headwinds that we're facing right now, I think mindset and psychology is more important than ever, because it's going to be so easy to get sucked into fear. I mean, don't get me started on the crap they have on the news, right? It's like, you don't even know what to believe anymore. Forget the political component, but there's just, what people need to remember is that the news organizations are not public service organizations. They are for-profit organizations, and they don't make money unless they scare the heck out of you. And so, what I would tell you is that if you're watching this or listening to Mike and I, and you're a leader, you wouldn't be here if you weren't a leader. And I'm going to tell you, the world needs leaders now more than ever. And as a leader, you've got to pay very close attention to what you're focused on. You've got to minimize as much of that crap on the news as you can, and stand guard at the door to your mind. Okay. Just really protect your mood and your attitude and your focus right now, and bring in the good stuff. So anyway, but happy to drill down on some of the strategies I used, if you like, to recover, or really to have that much money to begin in the first place. But we can take this wherever you want, brother.
So just a couple comments on, let me unpack a couple things. First of all, Rod, honestly, I don't think I've watched the news in 5 years. I can't buy into that. And I think that this goes back to the mindset thing, right? Before the show, you and I were talking about raising capital. And, it's a little bit tougher today than it has been in the past. But, if your mind isn't right, you're going to quit. And the thing that you and I do is we encourage people not to quit, right? To keep going. And so how do you do that with the people that are in your community and
Sure. Great question.
How do you keep them in the game?
Got it. Got it. No, easy answer. So, I mean, if you come to one of my boot camps, and I'm going to give your peeps an opportunity to come for a song and a dance. I've got a 3-day boot camp coming up in Orlando in September. But the first thing we do is goal setting, and on steroids, I call it goal setting on steroids, because how do you get anything if you don't know what it is? Okay. You've got to figure out what it is that you want and why you want it. Okay. And you've got to create what Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich, calls a burning desire. You've really got to want it. Why? Because that's how you push through fear. That's how you push through limiting beliefs. That's how you get uncomfortable. We all know the comfort zone's a nice warm place. We all know nothing freaking grows there, right? Yeah. And so let me talk about limiting beliefs for a second. When I immigrated, and this is why I had my wooden shoes here. When I immigrated, I got thrown into school. And I found out what bullies were for the first time. I didn't speak English. I was 6 years old. And then my mom, proud Dutch woman that she is, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in these. And these are the actual shoes, because we found them when mom went into assisted living. And she put me in these leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest. This is also the shorts. And so I got my butt kicked again. And then, there were bullies that lived at the end of our street, and, she'd chase them off with a fly swatter. So the next day I got my butt kicked. And, I came up with this belief system that I wasn't good enough. I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? Which of course presupposed I wasn't. And a lot of people have these limiting belief systems. So let me talk about that for 1 second. The belief systems like, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money, whatever. There's a reason the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99.9% of them are BS. But, we had something happen in our childhood, either consciously or even unconsciously, that we believe is factual, and it's not. And so if you're listening and you've got one of these belief systems that's holding you back, all I'd ask you to do is pull it out into the daylight consciously when it pops up, and look at it with your adult rational mind and recognize that it's BS, and it will diminish. I mean, I used to be afraid to raise my hand in class because I'd be afraid of getting called on and getting embarrassed. And now I speak in front of thousands of people a year in flip-flops. I just don't, I've become more and more free from the opinion of others. And it's because I consciously looked at that and realized that, I don't have to prove anything. I just do the best I can, and that's it. And so again, but the goal setting is the answer. That starts with that. That is the first step. And being very, very clear on what you want. People spend more time planning a birthday party than they do designing their lives. Yeah. Doing your goals is designing your life. And by the way, I do a goal setting workshop every year on New Year's Day. It's going across the bottom of the screen here. It says rodslinks.com. That's my link tree. And at the bottom is my goal setting workshop I did the first of this year. There's also a guide you can download. I'm not going to try to sell you anything if you go there. And here's the thing, if you go there and do it, and I'll tell you about my boot camp. And if you come into that, you don't have to do it because we'll do it there. But if not, then go do it. Bring your spouse, have them do it, and see how aligned you are. Do it separately. It's with music. It's professionally done here in my studio. I'm really proud of it. It takes about an hour, and you'll leave juiced like you wouldn't believe. If you've got a child that's over 10 years old, have them do it. My God, how powerful is that? So, but it starts with goals. And then, and again, that's at rodslinks.com, rodslinks.com. But after you've done your goals and you've gotten, and you've really determined why the goals are a must, the why is even more important. The why is what's going to drive you. And that's what I help you do. After that, you've got to make a decision. And sometimes it's the biggest decision of your life. And maybe you're sitting on the sidelines knowing you need to do something with your life. You deserve more, and I'm going to tell you, there is incredible opportunity coming. I think the what's going to hit the fan here, and I think everything's going on sale. And so I would tell you, pick a vehicle, decide how you're going to capitalize on what's coming. Maybe it's buying businesses. Maybe it's buying some sort of real estate. If it's multifamily, I'm going to tell you, get your butt to my boot camp, but learn it as quickly as you can, because I really believe incredible opportunities coming. But you got to get up to speed quickly. And so, make a decision. Okay. And that's that first step, and is to make a decision. And I don't mean dip your toe in the water. I don't mean 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I mean, when you decide, it is done. And a great example, in fact, the Latin root for the word decision means to cut off. For that would be, if you're going to attack the island in battle, you're burning your ships because you're taking their ships home. Then it's done, right? That's a decision. Yeah. And then after that, you got to take that first step.
So let me ask you this. So, we can get education, we can work on mindset, we can, But what do you feel and I want you to address the newer multifamily person, right? The newer multifamily investor coming in the business. What do you think are the three key fundamentals that new person coming in the business today needs to get their arms around in order to be successful?
Are you ready to skyrocket your investment portfolio and leave a legacy? Are you tired of inconsistent returns received in the stock market? Do you think it may be time to take a look at alternative investment options for your portfolio? Passive investing in multifamily real estate could be that option. With no tenants, trash, or toilets, providing a solid return on an annual basis that outperforms traditional investing, also receiving a monthly or quarterly return along the way. These lower risk and secure assets are a great hedge against inflation. If you want to learn more about these types of opportunities, you can email me directly to schedule a 15-minute consultation to see if you qualify. Just email me at mike@mikemorawski.com.
Okay, I just gave you two of them. Get clear on what you want and why you want it. Make a decision so you actually go do something. And the third one is take that first step. I'm going to tell you because so many people will, and a lot of people in our business are very analytical, and you know who you are if you're listening or watching, and you have to check off every single box before you make a move. And I will tell you, you are some of the most successful people we have in this business and the hardest to get to actually go do it. Okay. And so if that's you, just let me say this to you. Recognize that you can drive all the way across the United States at night with your headlights only seeing 50 feet in front of you, and you know you'll make it. You may have some obstacles, but you know other people have done it before you. You can't see the whole road, but you know you'll make it. It's the same thing with doing this multifamily business or any business for that matter. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith, the next step will be revealed. Lao Tzu said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but you got to take it. And you don't have to see the whole road, know everything, know everybody to do it. And my most successful students by far, and I have a coaching program they call my Warriors, and something I'm super proud of. I've only been teaching 5 years. My students now own, we believe, around 170,000 units. And we're doing a count right now. We're over 160, and I'm fairly certain we're going to be over 170. So I'm really proud of that. And I believe that's because, you know, I spend time pushing them to actually take action with what they learn. You know, if you come to my boot camp, I'll spend time on mindset, you know, and that's why they're successful, because they actually do it. You know, it's so easy to get caught up in the technical side of things and not actually take action. And then, so those are the first three, and I'll let me mention a couple more. The next piece I would say is play to your strengths. As you know, Mike, the multifamily real estate game you can wear multiple hats, and it's a team sport. It's not something you're going to do on your own. You're not going to buy a 10, 20, $30 million asset on your own. You're going to have partners, and it's a team sport, but there's multiple different hats that have to be worn. There's the person that's outgoing and you know, the mouthpiece that's building relationships with investors and partners and sellers. And that's like you and I, Mike. And then there's the analytical person that, you know, loves spreadsheets that can, you know, you can throw them in a room with a spreadsheet and throw raw meat in once in a while and they're thrilled. That's that, you know, there's that person that underwrites the deals. And then there's also the asset management piece. So maybe you've got some project management experience or some construction experience or just management experience in general, because that's a requirement, because you know, these assets get held for multiple years and you got to manage the management companies. And so a lot of hats you can wear, but you got to play to your strengths, because if you're playing to your strengths, it's what I said earlier. You're going to love what you do, like I do. You're going to you know, you never work another day in your life, because work is play. You know, if you hit an obstacle, it's easy to get past it because you're loving what you're doing. And most importantly, you're passionate about it. And if you're passionate about it, you'll be able to influence people. And so that next piece would be play to your strengths. And I could keep going, but you know, if you want to throw in a question,
give me something technical. You know, is it underwriting? Is it raising capital? Is it?
It's figuring out your strength and focusing on that. Okay, that's the technical thing. So if you're, you know, with my Warriors, my coaching students, what they do is I tell them, figure out what your superpower is. Bring that to a team, because in this business, you will align with somebody that's already done it, so that when you approach a broker, you can lean on their experience. You can say you can use the we word. We own 500 doors or whatever it is. That's how everybody starts. Okay, they align with a team that's already done it. And that's why my programs like mine are so powerful because they're easy to dozens and dozens of those people there that you can align with. But then you got to decide what you're going to bring to the table. And I tell people the two most obvious, easiest ways to get aligned with the team are bring a deal or bring money, raise money or bring a deal. Those are the two most obvious ways. Now, if you're going to raise money, you can't just raise money. You actually have to be involved in the deal, but that we go on that in great detail at my boot camp. But the point is, that's the fastest way to get ingrained with a team. And, and so if you're not interested in coming to my boot camp, can I throw my boot camp in here real quick where it is and what's going on? Okay. So it's in September. It's September 15th through the 17th. It's in Orlando. It's 3 days. It's not a big sales pitch. I will talk about my coaching for 30 minutes. All the rest of the 3 days is full on drinking through a fire hose. So bring your A game if you come. And if you go to Rod's links, you'll see my boot camp site there. Use the code Mike, M-I-K-E, and you come for $197. Yes, for 3 days. And I could charge $3,000 and you'd think you got a good deal. So I'm not kidding. It's that much value and people rave about it. Okay. In fact, go to that multifamily bootcamp site at Rod's links and go to the bottom. You'll see the hundreds of unsolicited comments and testimonials. But we teach every aspect of the business there: finding deals, finding money, raising money, financing, syndication, property management, you name it. And I have 3 panels each day, but probably be about 3 billion represented by the panelists I have on stage to answer your questions. Most of them are my students, and it's a blast. We have a great time. And so again, rodslinks.com, use the code Mike when you get to the bootcamp site. You come for $197, and I promise you'll be glad you came. In fact, if you don't love it, I'll give you your money back. I don't mean like it. It's come for 3 days. You don't love it, let me know. I'll give you your money back. But anyway, so that's my boot camp. And like I said, first thing we do is goal setting, because it starts with knowing what you want, and then we just take it away from there. So yeah.
I have it on my calendar, and I had it on my calendar before we had this podcast. So
no kidding.
I'm excited. Wow. And now you've got me even more excited. So I'm going to encourage my audience. Hey, you know what? Go to Orlando, check this thing out for a couple of days, because I know you're going to walk away. Just listen to Rod's passion right now and how he expresses the business. And that's really important.
You'll be juiced. You will be so juiced. You'll be coming out of your skin. I'm just telling you. Okay. And you'll have the framework. You'll have everything you need to go take action. Okay. Period. You will. I promise you. In fact, I've got the manual behind me here. It'll take me time to find it. But it's about that thick. I mean, it's about 2 inches thick. So it's drinking through a fire hose. Bring your A game. I'll bring mine. But it's a blast, and you'll meet, probably upwards of 1,000 people, like-minded people that aren't afraid. Let's talk about that for a second. Okay. Another really important piece is your peer group. Okay. Especially in what's coming. Okay. And if you're around people that out of their fear or their limiting beliefs, their fear of failure, their fear of rejection, their fear of being humiliated if you succeed, and that they may hold you back out of your fears. And so I'm going to tell you, your peer group is critical. And so many people default to a peer group that they went to school with or that they work with, not thinking about, where they want to take their lives. And so if you come to this group, this is a peer group that wants success. They want you to be successful. And that's who you need. That's what you need to find. If you don't come to my thing, then find a group like that where you live, so you're around people that aren't afraid of what you want. Because I'm going to tell you, if you're around these naysayers, they can crush your dreams. And sometimes it's family. And I will tell you, love your family, but choose your peers proactively. Super important.
Napoleon Hill said, you are as smart as the 5 people you hang around.
Oh yeah.
And if you, I heard somebody say this the other day, and I thought this was classic, right? If you went and listed out the 5 people that are closest to you, and you write down their average income, down their body fat, and now take an average and then take a look at it against yours. And is that where you want to be or where you want to go? And who maybe shouldn't be on that list, right?
And their happiness. I'm going to tell you that as well. You
Yeah.
show me your 3 best friends, I'll show you who you are. I'm just telling you right now, happiness, your lifestyle, your health, and your finances, because that's the way it works. And that's your kids, who they hang out with, because who you hang out with is who you become. Choose carefully.
And the other thing I tell people too is I say, hey, listen, if you walk in a room and you're the smartest person in there, you're in the wrong room. So obviously, if we're going to walk into a room with 1,000 people in Orlando, you're not going to be the smartest person in the room. So even I'm going to go because I want to learn. right? And I've been doing this business 30 years. I started
Wow.
out as a residential sales agent, and it's amazing to me how much you continue to learn while you're in the business. I mean, just some things from you today.
I learn on stage. I will tell you, I learn when I'm on stage. And I host a mastermind. It's the largest in the world, I believe, for multifamily operators. There's probably somewhere between 35 and 45 billion in assets in there. And I set it up because I want to be around people that think what I think is hard is easy. Okay, so I had 16 people come to my house here. I 1 or 2 billion in assets at that time, and now it's grown into this big thing. I'm not sure how much further I'm going to take it, but it's been a lot of fun. We meet 3 times a year, and I mean, these are high level people, 5, 10, 20,000 doors a piece, and because again, what you just said, I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. And there are lots of things I don't know, and I want to be around people that think what I think is hard is easy. And so, what I would tell you, listening or watching, is find a group like that. Find a group that's making things happen. That's what you want to be around, and or build one, and it's very, very powerful.
It's about your community. So,
yeah.
You just made me, I told you we'd wind up in some rabbit holes. So I got to ask, what's your future plan? What's your future goal?
Well, I'm in a lot of cash right now. I really believe there's an incredible opportunity coming. I mean, we are headed for some pain in this country, Mike. And I mean, I've got a couple of headlines here. This is this month's Forbes, and I mean, let's not even talk about office. I mean, the office occupancy in the country is at about 70%, and I got the main cities here. It's like 67 and some 73. I mean, average 70%. I mean, these assets don't break even if they're not 85, 90% occupied. And so there's a lot of bad debt coming, and there's a lot of banks. A third of all commercial real estate's held by banks. And so there's going to be some accountability, but I think there's going to be some incredible opportunities. Same with multifamily. A lot of these operators got bridge debt these last few years. And right now, if you've got bridge debt that's coming due, there's 1.6 trillion in debt coming due by the end of next year. You either have to sell or you have to refinance. Well, first quarter of this year was a 75% year-over-year decline in sales, and we know what's happening refinance. I mean, the interest rates are crazy. You can't get the debt service coverage ratios you need, which is property's ability to service the debt, and the rate caps are crazy. If you wanted to cap.
Yet sellers are still crazy with their pricing.
No, I know. I'm telling you, I know.
The bid ask is just like the spread.
It's still stupid. It's still stupid. Yeah, but I think it's coming, Mike. I really do.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this about office, because I think this is an interesting space for a multifamily guy, right? What's the retrofit for office?
Yeah, it's so hard and it's so expensive. It's so challenging because, there are a lot of factors that come into play. The floor depth, the plumbing that's there, and it's not easy. It's, in fact, in many cases, it's easier just to build from the ground up. So I don't think that's going to be a long-term solution, Mike. I really don't. I hate to say it. I think we're going to see a lot of office buildings that end up getting scraped or whatever. And I just read an article today in a commercial real estate. I get lots of commercial real estate notifications by email every day. And it said they don't think the office environment is going to get back to normal. I think they said till 2040.
40. I saw that this morning. That was
okay.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
so
are you kidding me?
You're right. So there you go. But see, here's why that's a big deal. Because I mean, none of us own office, but that debt is held by banks. So I think there's going to be bank failures. I really do. A bunch coming. And so I think that's coming. I've got a headline here. More than 20 million U.S. households are behind on their utility bills. 20 million households behind on utility bills. So I listen, I don't want to scare you if you're listening. I want to, Elon Musk said everyone's lying. A bigger crash is coming. It's one of the smartest guys on the planet, and so even Buffett is preparing for a market downturn. I think I've got these because I talk about this a lot because I want you to get prepared because it's coming and there's going to be opportunity, and then people is like, they'll ask me, should I in on 3 deals right now? Letters of intents on 3 deals. It's all empirical. This business is numbers. If the numbers make sense, then, go for it. I know you've got a deal you're raising money for right now. That portfolio you told me about. So, but I think there will be exponential deals coming. I really believe that. So, and I'm excited about it.
I think you're right. There's definitely some blood in the street right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's going to be more. and that opportunity pool is going to be big. But you mentioned it. This deal that I'm doing right now makes sense for today's environment, right?
Yeah.
Where do you see rent growth going?
I think it's going to flatline. I think it's going to flat. It already has. Okay. In fact, I think this month or last month was the first time they had a national average decline. Now there are pockets that are still doing quite well. We're still crushing it in San Antonio. We're getting hurt in Nashville. Because of absorption, there's a lot of new stuff there. It's a great market, but that we had to drop our rents a little bit there. But I think it's geographically specific. But we're in our pro formas right now. We're showing zero rent growth, organic rent growth year one, and then 3% thereafter. And so and it's very, very modest, very, very conservative. But I think the Fed has said they're going to raise rates more. Okay, so Elon Musk was quoted as saying, if they don't drop the rates immediately, the crash will be massive. Okay, well, they're not dropping the rates. They're going to continue to go up. Don't get me started. I don't want to go down that political rabbit hole about that stupidity, but it's pretty freaking stupid what's going on administratively.
It's like children playing adult games. So
yeah, great way to describe what's happening in this country right now. But anyway, yeah, hey, we'll be careful there. But
do you have a market that you like the best right now moving forward?
Good question. Yeah, good question. So I've got assets, quite a few assets in Texas, several communities in Dallas, San Antonio, Houston. We have assets in Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. But I will tell you, we just had a screaming deal in Louisiana, but the insurance killed it. I mean, this guy was paying $500 a unit and we got quoted $3,000 or $2,500. It's just, a unit per year. It's just crazy. And Florida's the same way. Florida's got crazy insurance rates. So, we are targeting, out of the heavy insurance zones like, Atlanta to Nashville to Birmingham, that kind of quadrant there, and just Ohio and just Indianapolis, places where the insurance is not stupid. Now, that said, if you can find a deal in a Florida or even Texas, we're getting killed in Texas too. If you can find a deal there that pencils at today's stupid insurance rates, they will settle down and they will get back to normal, or maybe not quite where they were before, but they will settle down.
So. Listen, I have a deal in Florida. I underwrote it at $850 a unit. The owner was paying $2 something. I underwrote it at $850 when we
drum roll,
$1250, and
$1250
up to $1550.
Yep, there you go. Like, there you go.
How do you do that? I mean, and
the problem is penciling that deal out, and that really kills your NOI, kills your net operating income. And so, that's another reason that a lot of operators are struggling right now. Not just the ones that have bridge debt. There's 1.6 trillion, like I said, of debt coming due by the end of next year. But, the bridge debt ones are getting killed because their rates went up, but the insurance is killing them too. And so, I just got an email today from somebody I know that said it's a Warrior, one of my students that invested passively in somebody's deal that's in big trouble. And so I've found some rescue capital and some resources for them. And we're doing coaching calls about how to do a, capital call with your investors. And luckily I don't have any of my Warriors in trouble personally on their own GP deals that I know of yet, but I'm making all sorts of moves to protect because, if they got bridge debt, they're probably struggling. And then if insurance on top of that, good God, it's a double-edged sword. So
what do you think the best debt out there to find today is?
I like Freddie 10-year fixed, 5 years IO, 5 years fixed. That's what we did on our last two deals. Of course, the one we did a year ago was 3.2%, and now we're at 5.4, but who cares? It's the numbers still are fantastic. Those deals were so great. They were both 50-50 on the back end because the numbers were so fantastic.
Well, I find it interesting that these guys, 18 months ago that were touting, hey, do floating rate debt and buy a cap, and those caps that were 30,000 are now 3 million to buy that cap, and so they forego the cap, and now those are the ones that are in trouble.
Oh, well, not just them. not just them, a 2% rate increase is a big deal, especially on a tight deal that you're still in the value add process and rents have flatlined in some markets, and you had your interest rate go up, and then you had insurance on top of that. I mean, and if you didn't raise operating reserves, like we do 6 months of expenses as operating reserves as an absolute minimum. And so, if you don't have any cash or any liquidity, and your loans coming due, and or your debt service coverage ratio just got obliterated because and by the way, those of you who don't know what that means, it's a mod, in single family and low real estate, the bank is going to look at your ability to service the debt, your debt to income, et cetera. In commercial, they look at the property's ability to service the debt, and so we have what's called a debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, and an example of that is, let's say that your income on a property is $125,000 a year. This is an annual number, by the way. $125,000, that's your income. And let's say your debt totaled up for the year, your mortgage payments are $100,000. That's a 1.25% debt service coverage ratio, which is pretty much the minimum for any decent financing. And so again, when that rate goes up, and your cost of debt goes up, and then there's the other thing is the water's going out right now, and we're going to see who's naked when it goes out, because, right. There are a lot of operators that got into the business that were brand new. They're wet behind the ears. I mean, I don't know if you read the Wall Street Journal about that 3,400 units in Houston that went into foreclosure. And one of my competitors' students, and, just a horrible situation, tens of millions of dollars of investor money lost.
Well, there's other mechanics behind that went on.
No, he was a nefarious character. I heard he took money and ran to India, is what I heard. Last thing I heard, but
there were some other fundamentals that were way out of line on that. So but
it's a black eye for the industry. I mean, I hated seeing that in the Wall Street Journal, because that's going to scare investors. They're thinking other operators are like that. But there are a lot of wet behind the ear operators out there that haven't asset managed through a downturn, are not paying attention to their KPIs, their metrics. And that's another component of this. And again, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm getting excited because I think there's going to be opportunity to pick up. I just started a fund. It'll be an opportunity fund, and to capitalize on some of this stuff, to find some of these deals. In 2008, 9, I got crushed. This time, I got crushed by the wave. I'm going to surf that wave this time.
Well, you're 50 million. I doubled that. So
really, you lost 100 million?
I did. I had 100 million.
Holy cow. You're the first one I've ever met that lost more than me, Mike. This is a historic moment for me. Yeah. Wow. I feel better about myself now. Thank you.
I thought you knew that, because I thought you heard.
I did not know that. No.
Yeah.
Wow, buddy.
We'll have to circle up and talk about that.
This is the first time I've met somebody. I tell people on my podcast, if you ever meet somebody who lost more than I did, send it my way. I want to meet them. Well, wow. There you go.
I don't wear it as a badge of honor, right? It's not a badge of honor. But here's what it did: is it taught me 5 primary lessons that I say, hey, look, I've made the mistakes, right? So I know what not to do today in this environment, in this downturn.
Same here. Same.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Same. I give t-shirts away at my boot camps that say #ask me how I know. Because I'm always saying, don't do that. Ask me how I know. And one of my students got the shirt. Now we haven't printed and give them away just because it's funny. But I don't wear it as a badge of honor either. And it was horrible when I'm sure as it was for you, But you learn from it, and I educate from it as to what not to do. I know what I didn't do right. I didn't pay attention to tenant demographics. I was too spread out. I didn't really focus on cash flow. In fact, the subtitle of my book is The New Rules of Real Estate Investing, i.e. the new rules are, don't tell me if you can buy a property for several million less than the guy before you paid for it. What's the cash flow? It's all about cash flow, okay? And especially in where we're headed. And so, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, the cash flow offsets the
if the cash flow is there, you can survive anything. Yeah, honestly, right. If the cash flow is there, you can survive anything. It's all about cash flow, in my opinion.
And you can beat those rising insurance rates with
cash flow. So, right.
Hey, listen, one last thing before we go. What are you telling people today who are syndicating multifamily deals, and they're out raising capital or talking to the LP, the limited partner, about bringing capital into a deal?
Right.
Somebody who's got one of your students, one of your warriors who's got a live deal out there today, how are you coaching them about raising capital today?
Well, I did a whole 4-hour masterclass on this. I mean, literally 4 hours. If you go to my actually, I don't think it's on my link tree. If you go to my Rod Khleif official page and you hunt, you can find it. It's still there, but it's 4 hours on raising capital, everything from branding to positioning yourself to, the nuances of what you can legally do, can't legally do. But that said, this is a tougher time, and that's why right now is not a time to be aggressive, and have these pie in the sky estimates for rent growth. And not be raising lots of extra cash just to weather the storm, and candidly and having fixed rate long-term debt, 10-year debt right now, and or assuming, like I know you're assuming some low term debt that has 7-8 years on it, which is fantastic. That's another strategy for sure, is because there's a lot of debt that's low like that we're looking at asset right now in Tampa that has 3% debt that we might get. But raising money is harder because investors are scared. And you can go to a bank now and get, savings, high interest savings, about 4%, 4 or 5%. And so you've got to compete with that as well. But here's the thing, if you find a good deal in multifamily, you can probably show a 15% ultimate return on a deal, or maybe even a little more than that, and 8% preferred return. So you can beat that. And there's nothing more conservative than multifamily. I mean, within rents exceeded pre-crash levels in the 08-09 crash in less than 3 years of that crash. They exceeded the pre-crash level. So, and when COVID hit, other asset classes didn't get help. I mean, industrial, retail, warehouse, self-storage, they didn't get help. We got hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent assistance because people have to have a place to live. So, and we're becoming a renter nation. I mean, this country is becoming a renter nation. So multifamily is a fantastic asset class, why I love it. But right now you can't be aggressive. You have to be conservative. And if you're trying to raise money and you've got a deal that makes sense, it's got to make sense. And you weren't too aggressive. You were conservative in your numbers and conservative in your debt. Go kick butt. You'll be able to raise money,
Well, listen, after losing 50 or $100 million, conservative is like a way of life today.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Hey, listen, this has been awesome. I appreciate you.
Oh, thanks, brother.
I know we've been trying to get together for a while, and thanks for your graciousness.
That was a lot of fun, buddy. I appreciate it. Like I said, I had no idea you had that kind of a loss yourself. I actually do want to talk to you about that, find out what happened to you, but wow.
Yeah, there's some history around that. Hey, listen, couple of bonus questions. Best book you ever read?
Well, let me do better than that, because my love language is gifts. And so there's the book, The 5 Love Languages. I was blessed to have the author on my show because I've literally given away a couple thousand copies of that book. If you love anybody, get that book, because you need to give them love in the way they feel it. But so as a result, my love language is gifts. My warriors get tons of books from me. So let me name a few of them. The Slight Edge, about those decisions that you make every day that don't mean much that day, but over time they traject your life up or down. Another one is Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning. I was blessed to be able to have him on the show. A beautiful human being. Turning Pro by Steve Pressman, about becoming a professional. Stop being a freaking amateur. Put on your professional hat. Turning Pro. Gary Keller's One Thing. I was blessed to have his co-author Jay Papasan on the show. Incredible book. There's a few. Think and Grow Rich obviously is the mainstay to all self-improvement, self-actualization. I've given away, I'm not exaggerating, close to 4,000 copies of that book.
Yeah, so, good for you. Yeah. That's that giving back. That's that spirit you have, and that's it. That's people enjoy.
Thank you.
So, listen, I need to know your most favorite restaurant.
Okay, I wasn't ready for that one. Favorite restaurant? Wow, God, there used to be one in Hawaii. I don't even think it's there anymore. It was called John Dominis. It was on the water. This was in Honolulu. Gosh, it's been 30 years since I've been there, but I love Burns Steakhouse in Tampa. And the reason I love it is they have all these different caviars that aren't stupid expensive that you can try, and they have their own farm for steak, and they have tanks with trout for fish. But what's really cool is on the top floor, they have a dessert restaurant just for desserts. and you have your own private room. Some of them are big wine casks that they turn into rooms. You can play different music in your room. You can get port from the year you were born, whatever they have. They have, by the way, they have the largest private restaurant-owned wine cellar, I think, in the world. So you can get pretty much anything you want, but the desserts are off the hook. And it's just, I mean, literally, I'm comatose after I eat there. I have to have somebody drive me home, but Burns.
Sounds like you've been there for a couple closing days.
I have, yes.
I always tell the broker, I say, hey, where are we going for steak?
That's right.
Hey, listen, this has been awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tell people how they connect with you again, Rod.
Yeah. If you go to that rodslinks.com, it's got my podcast there. Free book is, by the way, you can get my number one best-selling book for free. Well, you pay the shipping. It's like $6, but it's quality book. And there are a bunch of other free books there as well you can get by PDF that are honestly, a couple of them are best in class: asset management, property management at Rod's Links. And if you just ping me on any social, I'll answer your question. Remember, if you're seriously interested in this business, get your butt to my boot camp. I promise you'll be glad you came. For $197, it's a duh, seriously. But you got to use the code Mike to get that price. It'll be about $600 to $800 by the time the boot camp comes around. It's a little more than that now, but it's $197 if you can come. And you get my document library. That's right. And you get my deal evaluator software, which is fantastic. It's just something one of the people on my team created. It's better than anything out there. And you get that for free too. So again, those two things are worth thousands of dollars.
Rod,
so if you can make it,
when the date of the boot camp is?
Yeah, it's September 15th through the 17th. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's full on. So like I said, bring your A game. But Orlando's a blast anyway. Bring your family if you can. You'll have fun.
And I can't wait for that VIP seat. So
that's right. We'll see you there.
I'm going to move you out. I'm going to say goodbye. And if you hang with me for a minute, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Hey, everybody. Wow. I am overwhelmed. You know what? It's not me to get speechless from time to time, right? So I'm really happy with today's show. And I learned, 5 or 6 things that I've written down about, not just the markets and mindset and, but fundamentals, right? Fundamentally, how to move forward in this business. Hey, if you're just following us, if you're new, follow us on social media, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you are, you're going to find us there. Always bringing out new content, great guests like Rod to bring more information to you to help you stay encouraged, to learn more and grow your multifamily business. Follow us on Facebook at Multifamily Unplugged, our community there, where we'll bring you continual value on a daily basis. If I can do anything for anybody, please reach out. Just send me an email. If you want a copy of Rod's book, he told you how to go get that. Get to his boot camp. Use that coupon code Mike. And I look forward to talking to you soon. And everybody have a great